Okay, hello, and welcome to this eSchool News webinar, Education's New Normal, Creating the Future Classroom Today and Future-Proofing It for Tomorrow. My name is Kevin Hogan, and I'll be moderating this event. I am the editor-at-large for eSchool News, and I'm excited to have you join us for what should be a very informative session. Today's webinar is sponsored by Samsung Display Division. Samsung is committed to helping schools realize the promise of a digital learning environment. With a diverse portfolio of enterprise technologies, including smart signage, LED screens, video walls, and monitors, and an ecosystem of software and hardware partners, Samsung provides schools with the right solutions to create an engaging learning environment for students. Before I introduce our presenters, I'd like to take a minute to go over some of the ground rules here, some of the features of the platforms that we're using for this webinar. Today's event will be recorded, so you don't have to worry about missing a thing. Within a few days, you'll receive an email message that contains a link to the recorded webinar, along with a PDF of the slides. You can submit questions at any time during the presentation by clicking on the Q&A box. There will be time at the end of the presentation for our speakers to address questions. Also, there's a chat function that you can launch by clicking on chat. Feel free to use this feature to contact someone from the eSchool News team if you have any technical questions. But please don't use this feature to ask questions of our speakers. If you have a question for them, you can use the Q&A box that I just mentioned. So with these housekeeping items out of the way, let's get started with our presentation. First, we'd actually like to ask the folks who are on the presentation, the audience members, a few questions. Chris, if you could pull up those poll questions, please. So the first is, what's your current COVID model? I know that all across the country, there's all sorts of strange and new ways that folks are starting the school year. So we just wanted to get an idea of what your model is at this moment. And then Chris, maybe the second poll question. Okay, well, we see the results there from the first. So yep, that seems about right. Pretty much mostly either fully remote or hybrid, unfortunately. And then the second question. What is your current classroom AV setup? So do you have, if you are in a hybrid, are the kids bringing in their devices? Are you still using your carts? Does your classroom have a screen, or are you guys still looking for new technology to use this fall? I'll give a second here to get those answers in. I'm sure there's a variety of setups when it comes to this too. I know a lot of districts send a lot of laptops home with kids in the fall, and they're just bringing them back. So, all right, well that's actually an interesting statistic. So, 25% still don't have devices in the classroom. So that is really interesting. So I think that will help our presenters when they talk about some of the solutions that Samsung has to offer. And with that, let me introduce our presenters today. First, we have Ed Leiden. He's the National Sales Director for Samsung. Ed brings 30 years of information technology leadership experience to his position. He's the display team for Samsung Electronics. Ed's team specializes in education in the public sector, spanning the United States. He's director of Samsung. Mario's 20 years in the sector as well.
All right. We may have lost Kevin there. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Shake it. Great. All right. Well, sorry for some audio issues, Kevin. I don't know what remote part of the country Kevin's in, but he's having some audio internet connection difficulties. And he was just introducing the panel. So Donna Gill is our team lead for education. She's been with Samsung, I think, for about 11 years. Mario D'Antonio is our director of strategic alliances, and he's got a strong education background and has been with Samsung for 5 or 6 years, roughly. And then Daniel Lees, who is Senior VP of Global Sales and Marketing for Boxlight. And Daniel brings many, many years of education technology background. I don't know the exact number, but I know it's a long time. And he's been a great resource for us. So I appreciate everybody's time today. Mario, if you could click to the next slide. So first, again, thank you. We hear the phrase new normal quite a lot lately, right? But it seems to change weekly. The new normal has got a new definition all the time. So today we're going to talk to you about what is Samsung doing to help you get ready for the new normal, and also the future new normal, whatever that may look like. So our agenda today, we're going to talk about the current situation in education and what challenges you guys face. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what Samsung is doing to help you. And next will be our key strategic partners, and one of them is Boxlight. And we'll be discussing Mimio Connect, which is a in-classroom collaborative software that we're very, very excited about and be working closely with Boxlight on. And then lastly, we're going to look at what does the new classroom look like? What does the new campus look like? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Donna Gill. Donna?
Hello, everyone, and thank you. One more slide, please. Okay, so when the pandemic hit, education had to move to react very quickly. We had to protect students and staff. Schools closed with no basis of a length of time. We had curriculums that were modified for some remote learning. We were just struggling with how we were going to finish spring 2020. And it was just, there was a lot of confusion, needless to say. From a technology perspective, we felt that people were really focusing on devices. How can we get devices and connectivity to the children that were remote, the teachers that were remote? Now, next slide, please. Samsung has leveraged our legacy experience in education to drive what we call the new normal for teaching and learning. Samsung knows education. A decade ago, for those of you that have been around a decade, I sure have, we revolutionized devices with our announcement of the new Chromebook and virtual desktop technology, enabling schools to afford and use one-to-one. We did that in conjunction with Google. During the past 3 years, our display technology has populated classrooms, as well as hallways and ancillary areas through campuses across the US. We're taking this now to a new level. We've partnered with a lot of great companies to really pull together solutions that aren't just simple, they are interactive, and they allow for hybrid and blended learning environments. So, one of the things that I'm very, very proud of is how fast Samsung pivoted. So what we did was we immediately announced hand sanitizing stations and display and messaging technologies. Our engineers developed signage that was perfectly suited for distance and hand sanitization, all the things that we wanted to communicate to students to keep them safe. We developed occupancy control monitoring for libraries in larger areas traffic flows for corridors. A lot of these type of things haven't been used yet. They're just starting to be used because schools were shut down for so long. I think, if you know us, you know that we are not only strong in the classroom, but throughout your entire enterprise, inside and out. We believe that communication is needed now, inside and out, and we're here to help any way we can. I'm going to turn it over to Mario D'Antonio to talk about our ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you very much. So what Donna is alluding to here is that Samsung is leveraging the lessons that we've learned in other industries, other markets. We refer to them as verticals, and taking those lessons learned and bringing them into education. So things that we are very, very strong in is the technology itself. And that is both the hardware side, so the displays that you're going to see, both inside and outside of the classrooms, in the hallways, even outside of the campus itself, but also the software. So the content that's actually playing on these displays can be centrally managed. There's lots of different software providers that also fit onto our platform that can provide a lot of different services. Some of those can be simple signage like, in the classroom, a welcome message, that kind of thing. Or when you arrive to the campus, there's wayfinding, which helps students and teachers and visitors find their way around the campus, stay in the safe zones and out of restricted areas. There's plenty of other uses for this as well, including the gym and athletic areas and the back offices. But again, we're bringing all of this to the school to help increase productivity, increase safety, and really just give the students and the teachers an excellent experience there. Ed, you wanted to bring up a partner.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up two things. One is, a lot of people don't know this, but Samsung actually has outdoor signs, right? So we make outdoor LED signs. So I know in my school district in Texas here, McKinney, Texas, each school has a monument sign out front. And that is becoming more and more important because of the need for communication out to the community and to the students and teachers. So keep that in mind. A lot of people don't know that that's important. The other one is another strategic partner of ours that I want to mention, and they're called Havrion. So our Samsung Havrion solution, it's a complete solution from in front of the classroom to around the campus, and it can be tied to real-time transmission of emergency and rapid response alerts. Critically important, and something that, luckily is not in the forefront today, but it has been so much in the past. And as we get back into that classroom, it's going to become, unfortunately, become more important, whether that's somebody on campus that shouldn't be on campus, or it's a weather situation, but having unified communication messaging across the campus to let students and teachers know what to do in an emergency will save lives. And it's very important. And we can get more information to you guys on that if you want to learn a little bit more about that. Back to you, Mario.
Yeah, and Ed, I really appreciate you bringing up Havrion, because that actually gets to the crux of the question that you may be asking as part of our audience today, and that is why Samsung? Well, we're leveraging our brand and our expertise along with a huge ecosystem of partnerships to deliver something incredible for education. We're not talking just about the future, although we are future-proofing your classroom. We're talking about the now. And those partnerships are incredibly important because of the flexibility that's needed in order to address the current concerns inside of the classroom. So we talked a little bit about what we're doing on the campus itself. I want to mention a few partners to you, and then we're going to focus the rest of our conversation and our time here together on an in-classroom solution that we think is really going to address your needs in education. So we've got partners like Havrion that are helping us to tie in the entire campus. We've got some others that do address safety concerns and address productivity concerns. We even have some great partners that are helping to improve communications, both inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking, again, let's spend the rest of our time talking about what's going on inside of the classroom. So inside the classroom, the traditional classroom has always been, you've got the teacher standing at the front, sharing their lesson to the students absorbing and responding back and forth with the teacher. Well, there's so much more that goes into that that is not seen by the untrained eye. Inside of education, there's lesson prep. There is the delivery, which we just spoke about, but there's also the assessments and then the reporting that goes back up to the district level or the school level to make sure that what is being taught is properly being absorbed, as well as aligning correctly with the curriculum guidelines. Now, what we're doing is providing technology that helps facilitate that instruction, as well as take the instruction and expand it so that students can either be in the classroom, outside the classroom, or something in between. And we're doing that a number of different ways. We've got our 85-inch flip, which is, if you've never seen the flip before, you just have to see it. It's a really amazing product. It's unlike any e-board you've ever used before. It reduces all the complexities of an e-board, and it's so simple, you literally can turn it on and begin using it right away. The pen, people lose pens in classrooms all the time. I don't know what happens. Maybe the children eat them or something to that effect. But the pen that we're supplying with this is replaceable with simple chopsticks. I mean, we really thought of everything when we developed this product for education. The flip is very dynamic. You can connect with it with a mobile device. You can even connect with it wirelessly and control that mobile device straight through that display, which is great. We're also offering communication platforms like WebEx for classrooms. We have partnerships with Jabra and Panicast and lots of other video conferencing solutions that will help our teachers stay connected with the students, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom, which I know is a huge headache for teachers that are now adopting hybrid learning. But all of this only makes sense if we can develop a curriculum and a learning management system around what's actually needed in the classroom and provide a sharing platform with professional development. And we do that through a partnership with Boxlight through a software called Mimeo Connect. So Dan, do you want to talk a little bit about Mimeo Connect?
Yeah, hey, thanks, Mario. Hi, everybody. I love watching the chat window of where everybody's at. I mean, it's great that this is a global discussion, and so to have people from all around the world is really awesome. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, and so it's still morning for us. I know it's evening for a lot of you. So I'm with Boxlight. My title is sales and marketing, but I'm not here to sell or market anything. We're really an education technology company, and that's a part of the business that I love, and I'm here to share about. We've been in business for 30 years or so. We're publicly traded on NASDAQ. We sell classroom tech, educational software, training and professional development is a major pillar of ours. You probably recognize our brands, Mimeo and Octopus. They're probably in 1 million classrooms around the world today. So if we're going to start talking about in-classroom learning, I thought we could start with like, hey, our vision of the classroom, and it's more about the paradigm and the modalities that we're considering. And it's not just us that kind of like got into a room and said, hey, what's the new paradigm look like? But in fact, it's really driven by our product and PD team who work with probably 5,000 different teachers in a given year, if not more. And so it's really shaped by what's happening in the classroom. So we think about classroom learning as probably something that we've all thought about, probably almost exclusively for the last few years. So that's something in the front of the classroom and a way for teachers to share their content with students in a whole group setting. Right now, we're going to think about at-home learning and distance learning. We'll talk about that some more. STEM was the #1 discussion point for the last couple of years. That hasn't changed. It's still the future of the job force and still an important part, even if we need to change the way we're thinking about STEM. And then finally, PD. I mean, that's part of my personal background is in professional development. I believe in the value of not just providing training to teachers on how to push the buttons with the technology they have in their classroom, which is a lot, is a good start. But that's kind of like just getting you to the 0 point. It's really about how do you use that technology to really drive student engagement. We know the two drivers of that are teacher effectiveness and student engagement equals student achievement. So technology is a key facilitator and catalyst for this, and so it's got to start with PD. So that's our background. Let's move up a slide and zoom in a little bit on the in-classroom part to start. Again, we're not selling anything here. We just want to kind of stimulate some discussion about what a real package looks like for educators today, right? So the graphic that you see in kind of the top right is a modern setup, right? You have a large format from the classroom. Maybe you have a secondary display that the teacher is using to drive the signal on the front of the classroom. Maybe it's a digital whiteboard that they can use for note taking. Hey, students, this is what I want you to think about when you're watching this video or this clip, right? That kind of teaching. You have students here with their own devices, and usually there are a number of different devices, right? It's not just, hey, everybody's got a Chromebook, everybody's got an iPad, but we need to be able to work on all sorts of stuff. And then you have the teacher right at the front that's kind of conducting the orchestra. We can think about it like that they have a lot to do, and this is a pretty robust and modern solution, right? With the Samsung Flip 2, for example, if you're wondering how Samsung fits into this, right? They have a large format display that I'm sure you're used to seeing, but this secondary display is a Samsung Flip, just an absolutely killer product as a digital whiteboard. It's on a wheeled cart, so as you can move it to the back of the room, you can move it to another room. It can be portrait, it can be landscape, it can mirror what's on the display, it can be a second display. So great product. It comes with Octopus software, right? So teachers can use all of their existing lessons. It could be in Smart Notebook or Promethean Active Inspire or Mimeo Studio, whatever they have, PowerPoint, Google Slides, whatever it may be. The second icon is Octopus Blend. So that's 10,000 lessons aligned to standards and sortable and filterable by content area and grade level. That race car is a game-based app called Game Zones. So quadrant-based games or side-by-side. And that purple ribbon, that's professional development. That's training on everything that comes with it. Online, self-paced is part of a library, not just as I said, how do you push the buttons or what does that tool or this tool do, but how do I do something? Well, here's the way to do it. So it's developed by our PD team. They are all former educators, so it's not the standard training that maybe you get in other places, but in fact, it's what you need to use this technology to improve student engagement, improve teacher effectiveness, because those are the two things that are going to get to student achievement goals. So we packaged that together with PD that's specifically for Microsoft Office 365 for education and Teams, as well as a kind of parallel set of modules for schools and districts that use G Suite and Google Classroom. Again, there is so much training out there that's either user generated or produced by Microsoft and Google that this doesn't replicate that. What it does is kind of get you the fastest way from A to B as you can by Googling and going through different modules. This again takes you straight from, this is the stuff I need to know. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? And helps teachers use these tools for educational purposes. So
yeah,
so
and
it's
this is,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Mari.
I was just going to say, this is a great first step for the classroom. We're deploying these now. Today, there's a big concern about students walking up to the front of the classroom and touching boards. In fact, any contact surface at all is under extreme scrutiny. I have a school that recently put in those water filling stations, which we were all super excited about. they're all shut down now. So excitement over. So what we wanted to do is make sure that we're responding to that well. And so the picture that you're seeing here in the upper right-hand corner really does a good job of illustrating a connected classroom with a touch capable device that is accessible by the teacher and therefore controllable by the teacher and easily cleanable. But there's also a much larger format display that helps everybody else in the classroom that is now distanced from one another to be able to see and interact very well. And again, this is a first step that we've taken. Daniel's got some other things that we're going to share together.
Well, yeah, this is pretty. Let's say it's pretty standard. I don't think a setup like this would really surprise many people on the call. I mean, most classrooms don't necessarily have a device, or didn't always have a device for every student, but now, at least in the U.S., more and more that is the case. Most rooms don't have a secondary display, but as schools look at, hey, I've got to spread out the classroom. I've got to use some existing spaces as classrooms when I didn't have to before. There's some extra flexibility that's needed, and so I'm sure we can put together a bundle that would include everything that you see here. But really, the beauty of this is that it all fits together with whatever you already have. So if your large display is a projector, that's also fine. Like if you don't have one-to-one devices for every student, that's also fine. If, all these things are meant to be more for kind of stimulating the discussion of how does this tech get used in the classroom. So now let's elevate, because there are more considerations. I mean, think about how this modern classroom looks like. Now is the teacher going to be wearing a mask in the future? Probably, right? Is it going to be easy to hear if that teacher is wearing a mask? No, right? So we need to have audio systems are more essential than they've ever been. And so how does that fit together with the rest of the audio that needs to be in the classroom? I mean, it really is a new set of problems, but the good news is that there's solutions for all of them. And we help them all fit together well in a way that's easy for teachers to use. So, okay, you want to move on a little bit? Because there's some good stuff coming next. Yeah. I think, right? All right. So, I think as we see from the poll questions, that and even I think our own experience is that in most cases schools are starting online and then starting to move back to in person. In Arizona here, this is week 5 of a school being open, and just now students are returning to the classroom. So it's schools are continuing to offer an at-home option as well as an in-person option. So I think that's pretty typical in a lot of cases, but and I think pretty straightforward to solve, right? It's been solved so far with hey, let's have a Zoom call and we'll do the terms synchronous and asynchronous learning have now kind of gotten into my kids' vernacular. And, oh, Dad, I've got asynchronous time this afternoon. Do you want to get some lunch? Like, this kind of thing. And she's 12. So the real trick, I think, will start to be what happens when we have hybrid classes. And within the same class, you have students in the classroom and students at home. So far, I've seen it mostly as homogeneous, that it's either everybody's at home or everybody's in the classroom. But what happens when they're mixed classes? How do you create an active learning environment where not only the kids at home get to see the same things on their screen that the kids at school are, but how do they participate in the lesson? Right? How does a teacher monitor them? I mean, do they have their laptop opened up to their kids at home on Zoom, and so try to keep an eye and alternate calling on, hey, student at home, answer this, and student in class, answer that? How do they do a formative assessment, right? And say like, hey, this is good pedagogy. We need to assess after every class or during every class, see what's working and what's not, and figuring out when to move on and when to intervene. How do we do that with some students at home? Do you say, okay, answer in the chat window, or hey, I'm going to do a poll and everybody comment, and then what? right? So there's some real questions that need to be answered when we look at moving between the boxes. It's because today it's not about just at home or just in the class, but it needs to be both. So we've got a teaching and learning platform called Mimeo Connect, in development for a number of years. Has taken a little bit different direction with remote and hybrid. Some of the features that we had been developing got shelved, and some new ones that were lower priorities came on board. But we're launching right now. Teachers are using, students are using. It's just a really great tool to work together with Zoom or with Teams or with Google Classroom or independently of it, and help create an active learning environment. So if we can advance one more slide, I'll tell you what I mean by active learning environment. So thinking first about group instruction, right? This is the example I was using with students in the classroom and some students at home. So if you have the platform that the teacher is driving, they're the teacher in the class, and students have joined the class from wherever they are because it's cloud-based. Kind of the usual protocol of, hey, let me enter a 6-digit code and I join the class. We can talk in detail about the product, but it syncs up with your learning management system and has single sign-on with Microsoft and Google. So all that back-end stuff is there, but really easy for a student to join. They can keep on their Zoom call, right? If that's the way they want to run it, but they have something on their device that is showing the same lesson that a student in the class would be seeing. That's a good first start. You don't have to put a camera that's shining onto your projector screen or something like that. This is the same content, good resolution, and all that. Second, though, there are a whole bunch of learning tools that the teacher has access to that create this environment, right? So they can give control to a student to annotate. They can do a quick poll for everybody and see the results in real time. There are private chats, there are class chats. There is randomized order to call on somebody. Like there are the same screen casting and screen sharing tools that they would have used before, annotation or Spotlight or Glass or timers and all this sort of stuff. But it really like lets the student feel as if they're part of the classroom, and gives the teacher kind of one place to work with both at-home students and in-class students. Even if the teacher's at home or in class and the in-class is maybe being proctored by somebody, I mean, there is such a variety of different scenarios that need to be taken into account. This one makes it easy, again, because it's cloud-based and works on every device. So that's the synchronous group instruction side. But there's also the other part, and that's the asynchronous. So Mario, if you would advance one slide, it's self-paced. It's when it's not direct instruction, when it's not in a group. The students are still using this. They're still able to communicate with their teacher. They can go through a lesson that they might have missed in a self-paced mode. They can do their another type of assessment if they like and submit it directly to the teacher, and it can be synchronized with the gradebook system. The teacher can monitor, for example, if the student has gone through the material, how much time they spent on it. So it's really some good reporting tools that keep using the same platform, but work like really, really well for both synchronous and asynchronous learning. Now, I'll tell you honestly, it's not perfect. Like it's still got some bugs. It doesn't work as well as it will in a year from now. But I think you would say that about Zoom or about like basically anything. It's not a big deal with software, but it is for today excellent for teaching an active lesson. It has got that same library of 10,000 lessons, but it's built right into it, as well as connections to Google Drive, OneDrive, or G Drive, OneDrive. I mean, you name it, YouTube, your existing files and networks. So it's really easy to author lessons as well. So it's a great example of how we would take a a solution that was maybe more for flipped learning and expanded for remote and hybrid learning. It comes with training and all that kind of stuff. So again, how that fits together with Samsung in the classroom, if I think we can go one more slide.
So
yeah.
I can take that portion.
Yeah, hit it.
Yeah, that'll work. So so how does this actually all fit together? Well, I've been reading the chats and I really appreciate some of the questions that are going on there. Yeah, we are calling this the new classroom, not the future classroom, for a reason. This is available today. We are working with schools today. We are working in districts and charter schools all across the nation today to help implement these. Now, some of this, because it is new, there's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of complexity, but I want you to know, and we want you to know, especially from Samsung, that we are highly versed in complexity. We understand how to simplify the very complex and make it executable for you so that you can have the best experience possible. That's our commitment back to you, and especially to education in this very trying time. So today, the way the classroom looks like, or the way the classroom looks is we're offering a number of different solution components. One of those is this Flip 85, so it's an 85-inch version. We have a 65 and a 55-inch version. More coming. Oh, and again, if you've never tried the Flip, you have to try it in order to really understand it, because again, it's not like any other e-board you've ever tried. We've packaged this together with Boxlight. They have an excellent suite for education, which includes the lesson plans, the delivery system, the assessment, as well as professional development to help your teachers get into the classroom and feel confident with the tools that they're using. We have, and we also have some several other ways of, again, customizing the performance of your hybrid system to meet exactly your needs. There are, we talked a lot about the what we can do today. I also want to talk to you a little bit about the classroom of the future. We don't know what the future holds. So what we want to do is position you and your district in a future-proof scenario. So whether your classroom looks like what you see in the upper right, or what you see in the lower left, or something in between, we want to offer you great tools and great technology to help you be able to deliver an excellent experience to your teachers and your students. So with that, I want to pass this back over to Ed so he can wrap all this up.
Great. Thanks, Mario.
Absolutely.
So first, thank you for your time. I hope you're able to see how Samsung may be able to help you and your schools. There's a lot of different things going on right now. And I think the beauty of what Samsung has is we have great technology. We also have great partners that help. So we don't have to try to solve everything ourselves. We bring in the partners to help do that, whether that is Boxlight, Cisco, Havrion, Logitech, go down the list. So we're here to help you. Reach out to us. We also wanted to let you know we do have a complete professional development program to help your teachers better learn technology. As everybody knows on this call, there's nothing worse than getting technology and then not being able to utilize it, either because they didn't have the proper instructions or it was too difficult. So we're purposely focused on professional development and know that as a key piece. And finally, we have many philanthropic, tough word for me to say, efforts out there. But one of the ones we're especially proud of is Samsung Solve for Tomorrow charity, where we've donated over $18 million in technology to over 2,500 schools across the country. And we're going to continue to do that. So reach out to anybody on this panel, and if you have any questions or if you want to try some of the solutions. So, and the beauty of some of our solutions is you don't have to buy into the complete package. We can build from what your needs are today, and like Mario said, and future-proof it so that, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road, you haven't bought something that's obsolete. So we're more than happy to set up a demo and a proof of concept for you. Just reach out to us. So I think now we're going to turn it over for Q&A. Chris, I didn't see Kevin come back. So Chris, next step for us here.
Hey, actually, Kevin is back somehow, but only in audio, so you can't see my face. So I apologize for that. The Zoom demons.
Welcome back, Kevin.
Yeah, the Zoom demons in full effect here. But was able to get back on and listen to this this great conversation that you guys had, and also I agree, Mario, watching the chat. I think a lot of our attendees here are really getting a lot of great insights. And with that, we have a number of questions that have come in through the Q&A box, and I'll just recommend to the attendees, if you do have some more, please, we have about 10 minutes or so to go over these questions. But one actually kind of complements what you were just recently talking about, Mario, about how can my district implement a solution like this immediately. You know, in years past, you know, before the pandemic, something like this might take 2 years for a district to implement, and now people want to do it next week. So can you talk a little bit about some of the details about how a district can go forward right now?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, get a hold of us. We need to be a part of the process early as possible to help with the district planning, both from an IT perspective, but also from a learning development and an instructional learning perspective. There's, you know, if we can get involved early, then we can help the school come up with exactly the right solution for them. Look, sometimes it's not always, it's not an all Samsung solution. We're fully aware that there's areas where we play very well, but there's some areas where the school might benefit from additional partnerships. And this is exactly why we have this ecosystem of partners.
Got it. Got it. Another question coming in here is, what if my district can't implement the full solution? What would be the most important piece to start with? Maybe Daniel, that's a question for
training.
For you.
Training. I mean, that's the X factor, right? Because it's always going to be a little bit of scarcity and never have as much money or as many tools as you'd like to have. So if you have to kind of figure out where to bite how to take the first bite of the elephant, it probably starts with training, because that's what would help you figure out where the best way to make investments in hardware, for example, in order to be most successful. Right. So, yeah, that's where I would start with.
And so, I mean, when you're saying training, you're saying professional development for the teachers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's probably first starting with making sure they know how to use what they have. So we do a lot of Microsoft and Google training also, because those are the two most common platforms, and a lot usually runs through theirs, and teachers sometimes are a little bit stuck in different areas of that. So yeah, now it's also about how to teach and manage a classroom when it's remote or hybrid, and what the best practices for that are, and how to feel comfortable being flexible with how a lesson is delivered and where your students are is again, like one of these major roadblocks. It's not just buying some hardware and dropping it off in the classroom and saying, okay, good luck.
Right.
And
I would also add to that, Daniel, that we have a team of representatives out there that can also help guide you. So if a school's trying to figure out, where should I start? And I agree, training is an excellent start. But we also have a team of people out there that can help work with you. So if anybody has, a question and they're trying to figure out whether it's from hardware, Chromebooks to tablets to displays in classroom, out of classroom, the collaborative software, reach out to our team, reach out to one of us on the panel. We'll connect you with the right people and work with you to be able to kind of figure out, what's the current situation, where are the problems, and what are possible solutions for you.
Yeah, that's right, Ed. I would say pilots also as kind of a second bit of advice for when you're thinking about where do I start? Well, let's try a couple places in a school district. It's like, hey, let's try a couple schools, or in a school it might be, hey, let's try a grade level or a subject area, and let's build the model that we think is right, try it out with them, figure out what's working and what's not, and then scale it to the rest. So yeah, there's a big gap between how things look on paper and how you think something should work and how it actually does when it's in a classroom. And so yeah, that's right. There's these subject matter experts who think about this stuff and do this stuff all the time are at your service.
Right.
And one other thing I just want to mention is it's not really a one size fits all. I'm seeing a lot of questions come through about adult learning, autism, bullying, all these things, and understand that, we can take all the pieces and parts from what we offer and all the partnerships that we have and really pull together that solution that is perfect for what you need. It's not that simple. But thanks for all the questions. They're great.
Yeah, and another one that's coming through is what do you do with this after COVID? And I think that's a really important one because we're in this for the long haul. When we take on customers, we have deep relationships with them that span decades. And whether it's inside the classroom or outside the classroom, what we want to provide to you is something that is centrally manageable, that is scalable, but it's also something that's going to meet your needs beyond the current crisis. So yes, today we're talking about COVID. Today we're talking about some changes to the school and the platform and the learning environment specifically. But tomorrow there's something else on the horizon, and we want to best prepare you for that.
That's a great answer. Thank you, Mario. Going back to the training aspect, especially when it comes to the hybrid and the remote models, is there any focus on not only professional development, but parental development as a obviously tech struggling parent right here? When you have these remote setups, some parents need to have help too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen any instances of districts reaching out and giving parents actual training?
On almost all of them, because it's kind of like part of but it has something it is something that's been part of a school's request for a while now. It used to be more about like participating in parent nights and getting them like to access their students' grade book and this kind of stuff. But now it's really become, hey, can you put together some material, not just for my teachers, but also for teachers to use with their students, and help them level up to use these tools that they can take home and give to their parents. We have a whole training library for parents to access that will give them some basics from the perspective of a teacher, though. I mean, it's not fully on, but as a parent, but it's the same kind of thing. What are the tools? How do I use them? And it's part of the process now. And even if we can't do our kids' homework for them, I think a lot of parents are waking up to that part, that it's pretty hard, and at least we can help them stay connected and monitor their progress.
Yeah,
Right.
and look, if this has taught us anything, I thought I was very well connected and involved in both my boys' education. And between me and my wife, and we do spend a lot of time there, but this whole change has redefined what it means to be involved in my kids' schooling. And so that is a definite need. It's a need that we address. And again, just want to reiterate, there's going to be more, and we'll help prepare the school for that.
Great. Another number of questions coming in, which is, if you'll don't mind the cliche, the $1 million question, which is cost. Talk a little bit about how much these devices are costing, how much of the implementation costs apply to the purchases. When we look at these great display screens, I think they still intimidate a lot of people, thinking
Sure.
that they might be too expensive for a school.
Yeah, and I can start, but Ed, if you want to finish off, we can tag team this one. I will say that the cost per classroom has significantly been impacted because of this hybrid learning and the amount of volume that has gone through, not just in education, but taking advantage of scale throughout all the other corporate environments as well. This is a great reason why you'd want to partner with a company like Samsung. We do sell, we have a wide variety of displays to meet every possible use case you can think of, and then some that I haven't even thought of. So there's a way to make this cost effective for your classroom and for your school. Now, beyond that, the solution is very customizable and it's scalable. That doesn't mean that we just we cookie cut one possibility for your classroom and then we multiply it by how many classrooms you have. We can be quite flexible and help tailor something that's specific to your school so that we're meeting all of your functionality requirements, but also your funding requirements.
Yeah, thanks, Mario. And I think your answer is spot on. It's kind of hard to say how much it costs, right? Because there's different solutions for different scenarios out there. I will say that Samsung is very, very aware of the budget concerns in the K-12 space. So we get it. And we've actually addressed that with one of our newest product lines. We call it the Pro TV series. What we were seeing a lot of schools that were buying consumer TVs, and because they're inexpensive, right? I get it, but you go out there, you save some money, and then you have an issue with it, or it's not, the warranty is a consumer warranty, not a business warranty, and it's not a business TV. So we came out with a specifically for the Pro TV line to address prosumer, knowing that you don't necessarily need your TV on all the time, but this is a business TV, 16 hours, 7 days a week. 3-year warranty. It's got a special app that allows you to put digital signage up there, and it is priced extremely aggressively. So, we look at that and we saw that as a gap, and we came out with a solution for that. And then in front of the classroom with some of the new products we have out today, and some of the new products we're coming out in the next 3 months. Specifically designed for the classroom, interactive flat panels tied to the right software and different levels of that software. So it depends on, again, what you want to do. And I think Samsung is trying to address that, where depending on what your budget is, but we are completely understand what you're dealing with, and we get it. We have competitors. We have to be there and offer value. So that when you say, hey, I'm going to make this decision, I'm making a good decision because I'm getting X, and Samsung's able to deliver on that. But I would say reach out to us, because there's no way we can, figure out what something's going to cost without knowing what it is you're trying to solve for. So,
right.
And I just sent my email out too. My LinkedIn and all of our LinkedIn addresses are on the screen, so you can reach out to any of us. And I just sent my email out also. So if anybody wants to get a hold of me, and then I can direct it to Daniel or Mario or Donna or to one of our reps out there to be able to get a hold of you and have a little bit more in-depth conversation.
And I would encourage folks, if you've got questions, you can reach out to us. We live on 2 platforms right now, and that is some sort of webcasting, whether it's WebEx, Zoom, or whatever. The other is LinkedIn. So we're excited to be working with you.
That's great. I see we only have a few more minutes left, but I do have one last question for each of the panelists. When the pandemic started in March and schools started to send devices home, and the remote situation started in a really kind of chaotic situation. And unfortunately, we're still kind of in it now as we go back to school. But if we can look at this as the glass half full a little bit, do you see these technologies remaining even after we hopefully go back to a new normal? Like, is this really going to be a change in the way that our students learn and our teachers teach? I guess I'd start with Ed on that question.
I mean, I would say absolutely. I think that, you know, again, this is coming from me, but you know, the pandemic will be over. Kids will all be back at school. God forbid another one happens, and it could. But you look at just flu season, right? I think the world is going to be that much more cautious just in a regular flu season. So there's going to be kids who are going to say, you know what, stay home, but let's not disconnect them completely. And then there's other children that can't necessarily go to school for whatever reason. That, you know, let's put in solutions that allow them to again not be disconnected. And still have that learning environment and some type of connection back to the kids. So I'm saying absolutely. I think we lost Mario. Donna, there he's back.
Well, being from Boston, Ed, I can imagine now we'll have virtual snow days. We will no longer have. I won't be very popular with the kids, but yeah. So I can see a lot of reasons that we would continue to do that. And, you know, when I think about game-based learning and I think about active participation, those are things that are so engaging for the kids. And I think as it continues to evolve, you know, we're going to hope we make lemons out of lemonade on this and just make teaching and learning a lot more engaging through this process.
Yep.
And as a global company, Samsung's spending a lot of time and energy in understanding how all of the different markets that we serve and the people that we serve will be affected as we come out of this, and what it looks like on the other side of this. So I think, you know, by partnering with Samsung, you're partnering with a company that has compassion for the current situation, but also wants to get our folks out and you know, back to school, back to work, and so on. Yeah, and again, the solutions that we're providing are meant to extend out that far.
And for me, so for one, I think it validates that technology has a place and a role in education. It's not, there used to be some discussion of, we don't really need that. Students don't really need devices. Like, students get all the tech they need at home, like that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure that's gone away for now. Teacher PD, I think that was one of those of like, teachers don't really need the tech, so they don't really need the training. If they want to, they can do it, but it's easy. And so I think that has changed, and hopefully it elevates teachers the way they should be. I think they're kind of taken for granted in most cases, and this has got to change that. And then finally, I mean, for me, the holy grail is always about personalized learning. I mean, if you had one-to-one, each student had their own tutor that knew exactly what they needed and could educate them personally, like their style of learning, their preferences. I mean, that would be the that would be the goal. And so I can imagine classrooms of 100, virtual classes of 100 students that give you a chance to have breakout groups of 10 that have their own, like at their own level with what they need to focus on. And that for me would be an advantage of virtual learning rather than a drawback. So yeah, I'm excited. I love this industry and I love education, and I'm really happy to be part of this. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Daniel, for ending things on such a high note. I feel a lot better after all of this. And I'd like to thank all of our presenters today for a very informative presentation. And I'd like to thank the audience members for joining us as well. If you put in a question that didn't get answered, be sure that someone from Samsung will follow up with you directly. Also, as a reminder, you'll get an email within the next few days that contains a link to this recording along with the slides. Thanks again for participating, and have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.